Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie, and we have William on the phone too, and uh, got great news for you tonight, in depth on a FBI report I've been working on, and then William's got a big one on the protesters over in Israel. And first off, boy, William, guess what? James Earl Jones. He was the voice of Darth Vader and Mufasa, the Lion King, and he appeared in The Simpsons. But he's dead at the age of 93.
He lived a good long life. Good.
Yeah, he won many, many awards for let's see, it was the Oscar at the 84th Annual Academy in 2012. He uh,
I
he got the gold right there.
I couldn't imagine another 30.
Yeah. And then, oh boy, here's a good one. Um, Everybody's kind of saying, is there going to be another pandemic? Well, where will it come from? Is it going to be China or yet another global health crisis emerge from China? A new study is raising the alarm bells about the danger of viruses of furs. It's huge. They found dangerous new bat coronavirus as well as dozens of high risk viruses in animals that can cross over to humans. China's kind of happy about this.
Can I make an opinion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
If it's a virus before an election,
yeah.
y'all get it.
Well, the other thing is, there now the other new thing about China. Oh boy, this is coming out. Fentanyl. They call it the America's quiet killer. Well, new report sounds the alarm on China's role in destroying the U.S. families with deadly drug. Um, and they're going to on go with the fentanyl. But they say, you know what? It's not our fault. We know that what it's supposed to be used for and what it's supposed to be prescribed for by prescription, but it's not
Sure.
their fault that Mexico gets a hold of it and does what they do.
So 32 metric tons, and it's for prescriptions.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay. Sure.
um, okay, here we go. Iran threatens a nightmare for Israel as UN watchdog warns Tehran of the nuclear program if it runs unchecked. They're mad. They're really mad. They said it's continuing the nightmare attack on Israel following the killing of Hamas leader, and international concerns remain high over their nuclear development program, which has run unchecked for more than 3 years now. And they said with
Can I
them,
say something to Tehran?
what?
How long do you really think that guy was going to survive? Seriously.
William, that you make a good point there because we keep getting a lot of their leaders, but he sends the leaders out to run a lot of these. Um, oh my goodness, nuclear sites, um, different manufacturing plants, and all different places, and they always have the leaders in there or big camps of Iranian Islamic extremists.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's what, 2 billion uh, people living in that area that would, about half of them would want to whack him. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, and
It's all him.
they get real serious with their threats now over there in the Arab nations. This would really be everybody might be shaking in their boots. But he says this is the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard, Hossein Salami. The nightmare of Iran's inevitable response is shaking Israel day and night. So,
Does Mr. Salami remember when he was a child, Operation Praying Mantis, when the United States wiped out half the Iranian Navy in 8 hours?
He said the threat of what will be painful. It's going to be painful
That'd
and
be painful.
different. An attack that they're not even going to expect. I think
Well,
I hear it.
they should really, I don't know, dig deep, because come January 6th,
Well, he says he says there's no way to get around this. There's no other way. A major stronghold for Hezbollah is outside of the capital city and all around Israel. And Israel will look like Gaza. Have you ever listened to him speak when he gets in? They get him in front of the microphone.
they use the finger backwards, always the one finger, the index finger backwards. Yeah, I see that.
him and all of his and I shouldn't laugh, because one of these days they are going to do something big. I have that feeling. Eventually they're going to do something. It's like North Korea. They're just itching and waiting for the right moment. And then,
So they've got, what, 100 aircraft?
well, I just think they're going to send a big boom.
And that's going to turn out good for them?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, okay, and with the Ukraine war, Iran's they boast that Iran supplied missiles to Russia after U.S. and EU allegations. Moscow issued kind of like a statement, but they said, well, basically, you knew about this. You accused us of this multiple times. And he just, it's almost like Putin says, well, what's the beef with this? You knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew.
And
they say a year ago? They were going to, year and a half ago. Yeah. What about Raytheon?
You want to talk about Raytheon? That is, now
you've had a little leak in the dam, so to speak.
Yeah.
Just a little leak.
This, when I found this, I would, it was something. I tried to dig up stuff that no one's really talking about, and I seen this article, and what it is Raytheon. They say they're going to have to pay a fine. They caught them for unauthorized export of defense technology to China, Russia, Iran, and elsewhere, and that's what the State Department announced. As of the first of this month. So this is kind of an old news story, just a couple days though. But no one really talked about. The settlement will cover over 750 violations of armored export control under the Arms Export Control Act and International Traffic and Arms Regulation, or ITAR, according to the state's press release. It allows the company to put half of the fine toward remedial compliance. They got a slap on the wrist for this, and that's what.
So, does Boeing own Raytheon?
Huh?
Does Boeing own Raytheon?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that.
Kind of like down that road of failure.
And
right.
Okay, so now Raytheon, it's also called RTX. That's why no one really paid attention to it, because it was listed RTX Corporation. Okay, but that is Raytheon, and it's the largest defense contractors for the United States. But they just got busted for selling high-tech gear to America's enemies.
So those guided missiles?
Yeah.
That protect our fleet? Just, them? Oh.
And that. Yeah, and they're playing both sides of the conflict. And you know what they're doing.
So Congress shouldn't get upset with some kid for putting something on YouTube or whatever. I mean, if the big boys are going to do it,
Yeah.
why not let the children play as well?
So, other violation says employees traveled abroad with unauthorized technical data about U.S. aircraft and secret stuff that we didn't want no one to know about. But these employees from Raytheon, um, they decided to take data with them on U.S. aircraft and other weapons. And it's
On vacation to China
how'd you guess?
with their whole family,
Yeah.
the whole company almost all at once. I wonder if they were spies.
Yeah. So they're so they did a lot of crimes, but they're not really going to have to pay for committing the crimes. They're actually just going to pay for oops. They made a little mistake and a slap on the wrist, and
What about the other passengers of that airplane? Just oops. Just saying.
and the whole thing is they had unauthorized exports of defense articles, but it also failed to properly classify things. So some articles and that these people traveled with um, to other countries. It was basically technical data from a bunch of aircrafts and weapons, including the F-22, the E-3 plane. Also, it set aside more than $1 billion um, um, to cover their butts on this.
Well, I'm guessing that's an excellent way to get killed. Yeah.
By who? Us or
that
China?
plane's in the air. It's going to be pretty dangerous while that plane's in the air.
And the DOJ. The thing about it, William, is the DOJ. They did this letter, and to talk about it, and it's out there. The letter is.
I couldn't see it again. Right.
And so what it came up is it was. Oh God, you gotta see this. There it is. It's proposed charging letter, or proposed. So the State Department, okay, they charge. This is the actual document, folks. Okay, so the State Department charges RTX Corporation, including its operating divisions of subsidiaries and business units, with violations of the Arms Export Control Act in connection with unauthorized exports, reexports, and retransfers of defense articles to multiple countries, including proscribed destinations. So what's this mean, folks? They're going to pursue the matter, it says.
Better late than never, right? Like,
okay, so now, see, the thing about this is, the thing is, there is stuff that not only are they carrying, but they make the same type of airplanes, but just kind of different. But it's what it does is it gives our enemies a chance to, well, if we got this and what has changed, it could just be a square or, a seed or a cover or who knows that they might change. So now they're getting hip to it.
Yeah.
So they're learning how to take, like what is it, an F-22. So if they get one, but it's a little bit altered, A little bit.
They're looking at our research and development birds that aren't gone into production yet, our models.
That too. Well, see what it does though, William, is uh, what I found out was it like China or no, I think it's more like Iran is doing it, if I remember right. Is Iran is taking able to get the planes, and they're taking them out and learn how to take them down or destroy them because they have the technology because they were given the technology. And these people that these techs, these employees, they said they were going all over the place. Well, obviously it was Russia, Iran, and China because that's who ended up with the info.
Yeah.
I mean,
So all countries do that, right?
huh?
Every country actually does that. That's part of their business models. But not so much
Linda made a good point here. They're operating like we're already okay with the one world order. But see,
sort of.
Boeing
Yeah.
and everybody's got to understand because let's say Boeing, doesn't Boeing makes the airliners, right? They make if airliners that are sold to all different countries are all the same. We just put different names on them.
Yeah, it's just a paint job.
See, and it's the same thing, folks. Except for now, we're finding out that the technology that we have, they're supposed to be keeping secret. Their employees have it, and they're wandering around with it in a unprotected um, uh, computers and other devices, and they're traveling around. And of course, if they've got the info, and all of a sudden Iran has that info from somebody visiting there, uh, it got loose somehow. Now they can't in the when I looked into it, nobody is really being charged like they sold it or they're a spy. Like you asked, are they a spy? But they're saying it could be on the other side. So, um,
Uh, wake
uh,
up, folks. This is a deadly business, and we should stay ahead of our enemies.
um, now the DOJ was proposed charging the corporation, and um, they said you can literally see and say they violated a ton of arms control even. And there's still even the arms control information that got out to these countries or enemies. They only got us. They're getting a slap on the wrist over it. Where they're going to propose. They're going to look into it. They're going to, and that's the Department of Justice and the Department of Defense.
So they're going to have a process, but we don't know if they'll actually get there or accomplish anything.
And it has been brought up to the White House and to this administration. And there was really no response because basically the Department of Justice and the Department of Defense is one, and the Pentagon. The Pentagon is even knows that this is happening. So everything. I mean, this is to me, it's illegal. They should just be getting violations up the yin yang. To be honest.
So it's been the FBI's job to make sure they didn't take off out of the country with that stuff, and it would be the CIA's job to make sure they didn't get to their destination with that stuff. So who dropped the ball?
And the other thing is, um, they're even found some info, they say, on our steel for missiles. It's a little different, they say, but when our missiles and our guidance system was all attached to that info through the steel part of our missiles. So see, they're getting a lot. This is um, they may have
Right.
like a generic circuit board. Because I'm not into how to explain this stuff with electronics, but
Sure. during World War II, after World War II started, well, actually just before World War II started, because, you know, the generals saw things coming. They were a little prescient. Anyhow, so they set up a squad of people, and even the director got ID badges and stuff made, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Mickey Mouse is on the picture and every other thing, abomination that they could do to these ID badges. And they were routinely getting all the way into the heart of our military complexes.
Yeah.
They should, after a while, that stopped because they kept failing, right? They kept getting failing grades. And finally, they tightened things up because, well, the head brass is about to lose his job, right? Nobody cared until it was the head brass about to lose his retirement. And so that's how they tighten things up. What are we doing right now? Aren't we doing that?
Yeah. Well, see, the other thing was with this missile and these circuit boards is now this Chinese company, and get this, it's one that was owned by the Bidens too, one of their steel companies that they bought into. But now they didn't. Now I'm not saying the Biden administration gave them anything. I'm not going to go there because I don't have no proof. But this is a proof that China had it, and you know they could just sprinkle a little something, not or change something, a component here and there, because if they got our circuit board for like an F-35, then they're allowed to compromise the I think it's an F-30 they have, and make it easier for China to detect or even install flaws on
right.
some of our planes.
We should have been sending them little toys that knocked their jets into the ground every time they tried to use it.
So now get this, it wasn't just it wasn't just recently that this happened. The Department of Justice was able to track that they started having little vacations, and they started getting our info on our planes and even some of our ships in 2015.
How many vacations has Mr. Waltz taken to our fine friend over there in Asia?
What about even Hillary? Hillary worked for the State Department.
Well, at least she was there on real business.
Well, she went to North Korea. She went to China. She was buddies with China. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but the Clintons, when they were left Arkansas here and went to the White House, they sold basically a lot of info to China for their planes. They just didn't give them the rest of the info. They left a little bit out, but they sold some of our defense stuff to China, the plans, and that was part of Whitewater. I don't know if anybody knew about that. I mean, I don't probably have all the details for it, but you could look into it, folks. But they did it too. They sold us out, and that's when they just got into office. Because I know a lot about the Clintons.
Well, so at that time, the mantra was, if we help, I'm just going to put it in quotes, if we help China become industrialized, then they'll be more like us. Turns out, now we're more like them.
Yeah. Now get this. I was talking about regular airliners. What if they because they got the circuit board technology for planes and a lot of the planes. So what if they got a hold of Air Force One? That this people don't think about this, or they don't think about it. I do. I'm ready to call my congressman. and say, hey, wait a minute, wait a minute.
If I fly again, I'm taking a parachute. Just saying. I
Yeah.
want a parachute. Don't care what aisle you put me on. You can hang me on the ceiling. That's fine. I just want a parachute.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to move along because there's I got that. Um, Real quick, and then we'll talk about Israel after this. I don't know if I'll get to my FBI report or not. I might have to do it on Wednesday.
You
But
better get.
there is a here's another story that no one's really talking about. They're just saying, they want to say, oh, Harris, you lost track of um, 320,000 migrant children. Well, no, now let's go to um, the whole picture on this, because this started before Biden and Harris. It started way back in the Obama uh, administration, even went through Trump, and then now. But the problem is they've lost since 2000, well, 2018, I'm going to say. Well, William, I know you remember this, and Susan probably remembers this too. Remember in 2018 when they had what is it, the Red Cross ship off the East
USS
Coast?
Comfort and the USS Mercy. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And there was 3,000 children they were going to put on this boat. Now I remember everybody asking me about this. Well, I did find out because they had arrested 25 um, uh, sex trafficking, slave trafficking, children trafficking, basically. Um, and it was all listed on the FBI list. And I did find that. But when they decided to um, say, okay, let's put the kids on the ship, and they went to get them, there were no kids, folks. They were gone already.
Well, the ship
This
was
is
there.
it was way bigger than just these 25 guys, you know? 3,000 kids disappeared. They don't know
3,000.
where they were supposed to be. They weren't. Almost to me, it kind of reminds me of a hostage situation. Okay, all the kids are here, and now you can go get them, and then they go there, and they're not there. They're not. No trace of them.
So
Um,
now there's what, 30,000, 300,000 missing. What's the number now?
um, it's 70,000 that's disappeared since um, they're saying 2020. Yeah, 2020. So,
Well, that, if for nothing else, that's at least what the Democrats should be taxing, right? Because that
it's
seems to be
now. So,
a growing business.
um, now, in addition, though, they said there was 32,000 that Immigration and Customs Enforcement authorities released into the United States with hearing dates, but they failed to show up in court. And there's a 14-page report which tried to get these kids from 2018 to 2023. Now get this, there was parents that, they crossed the border, the kids went over here, and they went, they had to process. Well, after they processed, they said, okay, where's my kids? Well, there's the detention centers there, but the kids had already been moved in with Catholic Charities. Okay, so folks, this is right now being investigated. This is why I'm bringing this up, because you're not hearing about this. Um, um, so um, they started investigating ICE and Department of Homeland Security, and so when they um, when they looked at ICE wrote a 22-page report that the policies they followed, that they were, anything they did was basically from the detention center making sure they were guarded, and then made sure they were guarded as they were being loaded onto buses for Catholic Charities and other charitable organizations that were taking these kids in. Okay, but when these parents said, okay, your kids are at such and such a place, they went and there was no kids. Not even their names were on the list. Those kids disappeared. And now, the Department of Homeland Security, now they say, it's not them because they're only everybody's all these kids are just being processed. So when they asked Catholic Charities, well, about these lists, they said, well, all we do is receive the kids, we have their names, and then we, house them. And if they're not on the list, or if they were and they were transferred somewhere else, they would know. But these kids just disappear.
So it's like after World War II when the Nazi folks were saying I was just doing my job.
Yeah, following policy is what I said. We said they're just following policy, and so many of ICE has been cut that now all they do is basically patrol and guard. There's just none of them hardly left to be able to even help process what's coming over the border. So now it's all on Department. Now it's all on DHS. But get this, they're no longer using Catholic Charities. Now I'm not blaming Catholics for nothing, folks. Don't get mad at me for that. I'm just saying this is where it's leading to. And once they're in these facilities, even detention centers, that these kids and adoption centers that these kids are going to, but when they go to find them, they're not even on a list where they should have been. So these kids just, I don't know. But I'm glad they're finally investigating it. That's the whole thing is the Department of Justice is now looking into this to find out where these kids are. And I don't know who kicked them in the rear to get them going on it, but I'm glad they have. I have so many.
So who was responsible for at the head of all this to make sure that this sort of thing didn't happen?
Ray? Is it Ray?
Well, I mean,
or I hate to be mean, but Kamala Harris, because he put her in charge of the border.
So the children crossed the border and then they disappeared.
Well, no, they crossed the border. And then their name was taken, basically, and then the kids are put over in a detention center, and then they're shipped off to different cities and places they could stay. The problem is from the detention center, and then when they get to their destination, they're gone. There's no, unless people are changing their names.
Could the children have actually died in custody?
Well, it said that in
I mean, if you don't know where they are, could they actually not be anymore?
We're not finding mass graves here. I mean, they are in Mexico, but not in the United States.
Are we looking?
I don't know.
Huh.
It's like the 3,000 that disappeared. Where'd they go? I know these sex traffickers, they've got places all over the world, and so does Catholic Charities with their adoptions. If no one comes and claims them, they feel under their own policies that they could be put up for adoption. They could ship them all over the world.
So, Ellie, if I'm not on the radio program Wednesday, just assume I'm on Mars.
Why are you going to Mars?
Well, they'll lose me too. They'll lose us all.
Yeah, that's it. That. And, there's so many parents that are like, where's my kids? And, you don't hear about that. The news isn't talking to and I'm not, I don't want my migrants in my country. I don't want them crossing the border because it's dangerous and they're full for even doing it. You know, they're paying the cartel 30,000 to get them through, and then they lose their kids, or
But
they
if
get
you're
here
going
and they're
to let them,
homeless. It's
if
just
you're going to let them cross, you have to at least be responsible for them. They don't know our
and I
laws.
don't
They
think
don't know the
America
language.
is that great for them to come here and almost die and then lose your kids and then you end up homeless and nobody's hiring you because you don't speak the language. So you're
Well,
stuck.
actually, they'll hire you first, but okay, yeah.
Well, no, because I'm hearing a lot out of my friend in San Diego, and he said they're just robbing stores now for food. A bunch of them just go in and do a big rush, and they're doing it in New York too. And they're living in boxes. They're getting tents. They've been given tents, a couple sleeping bags, and clothes, and a box of food. You know, that's it. And they're living in on the streets. I think I found my bird, William. It's just a moth.
Oh,
So, um, but this is the whole thing is. I'm glad the Department of Justice is finally looking into it, and I'd like to know who decided to finally move forward because the FBI was involved in this too because they arrested those 25 guys, and come to find out now they're looking into it of
can
where these kids are.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is the FBI and Homeland Security funding up for being revoted for again?
I don't know. Usually, when the we get let's say a new president, the regime changes. They put in the people they want. It's like Trump when he was in office. Most of the guys that he had, I wish I could remember some of their names for the CIA and NSI and a
Yeah.
few of those. Um, they all had to leave when the Biden administration came in. Now, um, when Comey was left, they took out 50 with him, and they put them all back in, and the corruption is just rampant. That's what I'm hearing from an FBI guy that I go to church with. So um, he tells me a lot of
That
stuff too.
sounds like he's got a handle on things then.
So
Understands.
so Israel. Then we got the protests in Israel, and
Yeah, so
first of all, I want to say that the article I seen today was said there will be no release of hostages. Period. There's just no deal in sight.
so everybody in Israel is protesting the government of Israel for Hamas not giving back the hostages. I'm getting like a logical disconnect here. So you're going to destroy your own country.
Okay, what'd you say just now? Netanyahu, what?
So the largest protests in Israel's history about the hostages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Israel has never had a protest this big, ever in its history.
No.
This is the big one.
Okay. I don't really think they have them except for real close to entry exit points around the wall.
Those are small. Those are smaller protests.
That's like what, 8-9 people usually.
Yeah.
That's all I've ever seen in history with them.
Well, Israel's not an ancient society. Well, it is an ancient society, but it's only been around really since World War II, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't even have a population large enough to have this size of a protest. And they're demanding that Israel hand over the hostages. And, you know, my thing is Israel doesn't have the hostages. You're protesting the wrong people.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, and you said they are mad at Netanyahu because they're, and you see it on the news that, oh, Netanyahu isn't gonna be able to get the hostages. Netanyahu is sorry, folks, he's not the one in charge. There is a president over there that you don't hear much about. Netanyahu is more like a what we call like an ambassador or a advisor.
Netanyahu is not the Palestinian God.
No.
It's not. He's not. He's an executive prime minister.
Bingo.
And he's part of a coalition.
Yeah, prime minister. I called him an ambassador, but he acts more like an ambassador, though. He's trying to soothe.
Well, he's had to take charge because, well, nobody else was going to.
Right. And the presidents of the
government.
past, he's had to step up. And some of the stuff he found out with Iran and their nuclear program, he had to. Yeah, because that was something he was looking into and he was afraid of for his country.
So,
but you can't blame Netanyahu if the deal don't go through or the hostages. You can't blame him. It's you got to look at the president and the people that are around the top administration of Israel.
So I'm not saying Netanyahu's a saint.
No.
He's probably a major prick, right?
Yeah, he has to be.
Well, half the country probably wants to put him in jail. Having said that, he's leading their country.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got two sets though of leaders almost in Israel, and you got the ones that are want to do for the good, and then you got those others. What is it? What are they called, William? I should have wrote down. But these others are the ones that just create havoc and make Israel look bad. It's just like it's like the Palestinians. There are very normal, very regular Palestinians that are there. And then you've got the Islamic extremist that they'll back up. They'll say, yeah, sure, we hate Israel. Go for it. Okay, finish up with the protests. I'm sorry.
So I have a proposal. It's going to sound crazy, but at least it's more logical. Go to the border of Gaza and protest the people in Gaza. See how it works out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isaac Herzog is what DB said.
Yeah, well, the Knesset is their congressional body, and they have an admiral over their navy, and they have a general over their army, they have a general over their air force, and they have a general over all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're directed by whoever's appointed in the Knesset, their Congress, to be the leader of the country. And they can have elections anytime that a coalition within the Knesset fails. Somebody fails out of the of the group that has the coalition. Anybody steps out, they have to have elections all over again.
Yeah, I got a picture up, William. I got a picture up of Isaac Herzog, the president of Israel. So, all right, go ahead.
So at the same time, they're at war. They're being attacked by everybody but Egypt. Okay? They even got attacked by Jordan today. Some people at the Jordanian King Hussein bridge crossing there between Israel and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, they've got enemies literally on all sides, except for, if you look at Israel, except for the soles of their shoes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have the largest protest in their history, and they have a coalition government, and they're at war with two countries. How does that work out?
Yeah.
They're going to destroy Israel.
That was well. See that
their emotions.
if you look though, William, all those countries that's all the way around, they have vowed to destroy the Israelites, Hebrews, Jews, for forever, since the beginning of time.
If it was
I think
just
since
Israel,
the time of
they
Abraham,
probably wouldn't care. They probably wouldn't care. The problem is Israel is America's friend in the region.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
I think it's because it's biblical. It's really biblical, but people got to think. Now, I was into archaeology, so what a lot of people don't realize is there was a lot of biblical stuff in Iraq. Iraq was loaded. And it was both Christian and Muslim. And the Middle East is so biblical, but it's like like in with Iraq, they had the two different parties that hated each other. What were they? Boy, William, I should have wrote some of this down. But
they got
the Shiites and the Shiites and the other ones.
The Sunni.
Yeah, Sunni and the Shiites. And then, get this. Everybody didn't like the Turkey people either.
Or the Armenians.
Yeah, Armenians. There you go.
The Kurds.
The Kurds, yeah.
It goes on endlessly.
And it's a never-ending battle in the Middle East. And we never should have we shouldn't even put a little toe in that place. It has been one war after another all the way through there. And always.
We can thank the British for that.
Yeah. And always a fight to save Israel. Always. And then when Israel, defends it herself, then it's wrong. I mean, they're not perfect. I'm gonna say that right now, because nobody's perfect. And yeah, they have done some dumb things. And yes, they've killed people maybe they shouldn't have. But in order for them to protect themselves against terrorists that we now have in our own country,
it's not like their neighbors have been sweethearts.
Yeah. But, it's like we were talking earlier with Iran, with striking Israel. They're itching to do it, but everybody knows it's us, it's North Korea, it's China, it's Russia, everyone that has these big nuclear missiles. They know when the first one flies, that's it. That's it.
Well, you can't leave weapons in their silos for a second strike option if those birds start to fly.
That's it.
You only get one shot at this deal.
And United Nations should be trying to fix the problem and have everybody be friends. It's going to take not just, I can't say a good president of ours. It's going to take a couple good presidents to sit down and start saying, hey, we know we're not going to do this. But somebody's got to sit down with the enemies and say, there's got to be a truce. There's got to be, going halfway to stop all this. So
yeah, we've reduced the the Reagan administration and the first Bush administration reduced weapons like fourfold.
Yeah. And everybody
Yeah.
else has gained them in defense of,
Yeah.
of basically their neighbors. I mean, look at China and India. You know, and we got that, and then we had Ukraine and Russia, and it's like all these little skirmishes on the border. And get this, I think it's Poland, either Germany or Poland now has put their wall up because they don't want no more people in, and they're just done with the whole.
Hungry.
Is it Hungary? Well,
Yeah,
no, I was thinking it was one of the other ones because I got real
and
excited
Poland,
about it.
because Chinese are on Poland's border. Poland's
Mhm.
border with Belarus is now.
Well, see there,
military.
and you know when I read the report, it was like, you know what, it's everything I've been saying. They said it's not just them letting migrant families in. They don't mind doing that. But there's not a such thing over there. It's men between the ages of 15 and 30. Thousands of them. Thousands of them. So,
well, hundreds of thousands are dying right now. Have died in the last three and a half years.
Yeah.
And
so,
I just want everybody to take a 1,000-mile view looking down on the earth. How much of the borders moved? For hundreds of thousands to die. Well,
yeah.
that was a bust, wasn't it?
Mm. And
It's
well, you know what I think, and George Soros is probably, you know, he can kiss my buns, kiss my grits or my oatmeal. He can kiss my oatmeal. This one world order isn't going to make it. It's just not. Everybody's starting to see it, and world leaders are changing too quick and too fast. I can't even remember who said. I think Mark Levin is the one that said this because it made a lot of sense. That it's falling apart because the changeovers and the people are now waking up and saying, no, we don't want the communist that you're trying to bring into our countries.
Well, their plan only works if the people stay asleep.
That's it. So it's time for America to wake up and say, no social programs, no more. Now get this, and not to be mean to her, but Kamala Harris said she's one of her things is to put more product in the packages. What you don't understand is you add more product, you're going to raise the price. They're going to raise the price. It don't matter because they have to make their money.
You can't have more commodity out of air.
That's right.
It's got to be grown on a farm. I mean, what are they going to fill it with?
Yeah. But that debate's what, tomorrow night? Or is it tonight?
It's tomorrow night.
Okay.
Well, okay, here's the deal. I heard on the internet, and I don't know how. So there's some betting going on.
Oh boy.
Okay, don't laugh. That at the last minute there'll be a no-show.
You know, there's so much, boy, people, don't fall for clickbait. Give me a thumbs up for you hate clickbait. God.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
Bingo. Thank you. There is so much out there on YouTube right now that, and even TikTok and a few other platforms that they got all these crazy, like, she's going to wear the same suit. She found out what Trump's going to wear. So she's going to wear the same thing. What? Come on now. That's not. And then I heard she's going to wear a suit with a long tie. And then I heard she wasn't going to show up. I heard that she wants to pick a fight and get Trump angry so he'll lose his temper because he can't control himself. There's so much out there. Or the other one was she is going to fall apart, or she's going to win, and it's just all over the place. Don't
And of
watch
course, everybody
clickbait,
knows.
folks. If it's got
Of course,
weird,
everybody knows Trump is going to absolutely win.
if
There's
well,
absolutely
right now the polls show. This is as of today because I
that
went and looked at the
problem right
national
there.
polls. For the win, Trump 67%, Camilla Harris 37, and then the other's an unknown number for somebody else. I don't know who.
But during the elections, it gets down to 1%, right? It gets down to 0.5%. These
yeah,
polls are baloney. We can't trust a poll. Poll is like, I don't know, reading smoke signals, maybe? No, that's not true because smoke signals could be accurate.
so
Maybe watching a kaleidoscope
yeah.
and determining.
We'll just have to see. I don't know. I might pop on afterwards. I don't know. I'm gonna watch and see what happens, and then I can't guarantee I'll pop on and do a breaking news or hey, the debate. We only got what, maybe 40 days left. It's not much time. No,
Did you hear
50,
about
50 something.
our new Haitian friends in Ohio?
Huh.
So there's a small, medium-sized bedroom community of someplace in Ohio, and lots of Haitians have just flown in there from where they came from, wherever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having problems with cars, bashing into buildings, running over garbage cans, inexplicably flipping over in the middle of intersections.
Some of those have been recalled because they're they just do what they want. Cars that do what they want.
Well, no, these are people driving them
and doing it,
and they're eating the ducks in the park. And I can understand the roadkill where you at least want to get the bad stuff away from the meat. That makes sense to me. But it seems like, how do they get their driver's license if they only speak French and can't read?
They have no idea of how to drive, and then they get in these weird cars and get this. I watched a news report on a guy that it was a migrant. He was from Colombia, I believe. They got a hold of a car, or had a car. I'm not sure if it was his or if he stole it. And he was, for one, driving on the wrong side of the road, and he like head on one person and then hit 4 or 5 cars, and then kept going. And then he said he didn't know because no one gave him the book on how to drive in America. So
in Spanish.
So anyway, William, we're gonna wrap it up. And my FBI thing I got, folks, it's about a terrorist that the FBI and I think the Department of Justice caught, that was planning to do a huge terrorist attack either on 9/11 or 10/7, and it included quite a few ISIS members. So I'll do that report on Wednesday. And
I know how they can make that stop happening.
Quit letting people in and start gathering up some of these terrorists.
Bring them.
They got their names.
The local Veterans Administration. Guarantee the problem will be over.
Yeah,
too many people have bled and died over this thing.
Oh, they have oh goodness, I think it was Ted Cruz. They was talking about they got a list of hundreds of terrorists or possible that are in the country that they're looking for. So, coming to a city near you, but more than likely a sanctuary city where they're not going to get in no trouble. So,
Well, if the FBI can't find them, can we hire some, I don't know, some kindergarten teachers to go and locate these people?
yeah, something. So, okay, William, we'll see what happens with the debate, and me and you will be back Wednesday with the World War III report. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up. This was a great show full of info, the stuff we're not hearing on the news. And,
Sorry, I've been
share with
fired
friends
up
and
today.
family.
I'm sorry I've been so fired up today. I'll try to behave next show.
No, me and you will get all fired up for Wednesday because I like the World War III report, and it gives us a day or two to gather more info on it, and let's figure out what's going on and over there with China and Taiwan or the Philippines or some of the wars we got around the world. No one world order, and the shortage of military members. Folks, I know we don't want to talk our kids into the military, but there's so many positions out there that need to be filled where they're not on the front lines. They're not going to be.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
They have enough of their quota of the alphabet group. They have their quota of the Hispanic group. They have their quota of the black group. The problem, turns out, is after having all that white rage, young white kids don't want to go in the military because they don't want to be,
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. But we need servicemen and women, and they let the women in. There was a big fuss, but the women are allowed in, and it's time to stand up and fight for our country before we end up in a civil war. That's my fear, is us having a civil war, whether it's with our neighbor or if it's it could be someone from another country invading us. So anyway, William, I thank you very much, and we will have our show on Wednesday, and come on back for it. Please share and tell your friends about it. William, thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity, Ellie.
Great show, and we'll see everyone on Wednesday, unless I pop on for the debate.